Today's show is sponsored by The Portal. The Portal is where you go to get information you need to live your best life now. Have you thought about becoming a self published author? Would you like to meet other entrepreneurs that have like minded sensibilities? Well, join the Solutionist Portal and become part of an awesome community. Welcome to Talk to Me. I'm your host, Brenda Warren, the Solutionist. I see things other people often miss. And because of that, I have amazing conversations with people that allow me to pick their brains and find the things I want to know. It is Face It Friday. And today I want to face the fact that, you know what? Understanding my strengths, in your case, your strengths, is just one key to your success in business and in life. And as always, to make sure I have an discussion that's just not one sided, I'm going to bring up my friend, Lisa Ducharme. Let me add Lisa to me. Hey, Lisa.
Brenda.
You know what? I love every time I say, hey, Lisa, because pretty soon we're going to have some Hey, Lisas coming out. You guys better stay tuned. You better subscribe, click like, make some comments, because Lisa and I are going to be doing a piece that's geared more to her. So you don't have to listen to me over talk Lisa and not give her the time to say something, because she has a lot to say. So we're going to be answering your business questions, and we're going to do it in the format of say, hey, Lisa. So you guys are going to be able to submit your questions, and I'm going to ask Lisa what are her thoughts on those things so we can share that with you. But today we are talking about, and I'm going to show you a little thing again, understanding your strengths, one key to your success in business and in life. Lisa, I'm excited about talking about this, but one of the things that I failed to do was put the definition up here. And I'm going to see if I can find it, because as always, when you're live, you will forget to put something out there and you're trying to figure out where it is. So while I am looking for the definition, which I will have in a few seconds, I want you to do me a big favor and tell people why you specifically are so passionate about strength finders. And then I will put the definition up here.
You know, one of the advantages and one of the things that I learned a couple of years ago, back in 2019, which tells you this is a fairly new tool for me.
Mm-hmm.
I've done all types of assessments to figure out who I am, why I do what I do, and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But in 2019, my boss said to me, when I was looking for some professional development, she said, you should read this book, Strength Finders 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
She says, you might like it. She said, don't use the code in the back, because in the back there's an access code for an assessment, because she hadn't taken her assessment yet. And I said, oh, okay. So I'm like, oh, another book. And I started to read it, and I was like, I had no idea that our strengths had been identified by the time we were 3 years old.
By 3 years old.
Yeah, by 3 years old, our
Okay.
strengths are already identified. It's things we do naturally, and through our life, we do it so naturally, it becomes like breathing. So we don't pay attention to it and we don't nurture it. And so one of the things is, after I read the book, I thought I have to have the assessment. So I went on Audible, got the book, it emailed me the code, and I went in and I took the assessment. To say that there was no doubt that that assessment was me would probably be the understatement. I was laughing so hard when I took it. I sent it to my boss,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, okay. I said, I'm a little bit confused, even though I wasn't. I'm a little bit confused. Do you think this is me?
Mm-hmm.
She came back and she called me and she said, you're kidding, right? She says, you know that's you. She said, that could not be more you if I wrote it myself.
And that's the thing that I love about strength. I finally found the definition here. I can put it up now. It says, what is Strength Finders? Strength Finders is a tool that helps identify your top 5 natural talents out of a set of 34 that are grouped under 4 different domains: executing, influencing, relationship building, and strategic thinking. It was developed by the Gallup organization and has been used by millions of people worldwide to help them discover their natural talents. Lisa, I personally love Strength Finders because it was a way for me to find out what my strengths were, and to also give me, what do you call it? Give me information on how I can play up my strengths and work towards the goals that I have in a more efficient and productive manner. And so we're going to today talk about 4 steps that I thought, not that maybe the ones universally, but 4 steps I think are important to helping us understand our strengths. And I'd like to start our conversation today with the step 1, identifying your strengths. I believe that's the first step in unleashing your full potential is to identify your key strengths. Could you tell us your thoughts on how you feel about that, Lisa?
Oh, I totally agree. And it doesn't matter what assessment you take because there are so many assessments out there. But understanding your strengths makes a big difference, and not only makes a difference for you, but it also makes a difference for your clients or for your employer or even for your partner. We are 1 in 33 million. So if you think about all the things that you've done through your life, have you ever gotten to a point where something annoyed you, and it annoys you every time? So for example, I get really annoyed when somebody's not doing their job or just doing their job, and somebody comes in and gives them this huge amount of praise and how great they're doing. That actually annoys me. And I never understood why. And now I do. Now I understand, because that is a trait of somebody with positivity. I always thought it was fake, because why would you compliment somebody for barely doing their job? That's not something I would do. But once I understood that comes naturally to some people. To some people, complimenting people is important. It made it easier for me to be able to accept when that happens, that it's not fake, that they're doing it because it comes by them naturally. And understanding that makes a big difference. And when I have employees, one of the challenges is, for me, I'm not going to compliment you right away. You have to go not only above and beyond, but above that in order for me to compliment you, because I'm paying you to do the job. And if you go a little bit above the job, okay, that means with the days you don't do your job, I can give you points on that one. But if you go above, to me, that tells me you took the extra effort and energy and care, and therefore then I'll compliment you. So understanding what you do well and what you don't do well is important, because there are some times I had people in my past who really needed compliments in order to feel appreciated, and they didn't get it from me by any stretch of the imagination. But once I learned that it doesn't come to me naturally, I could then realize that some people do need compliments, and then I give it to them.
And you know, Lisa, that's important that you mention that, because when we work with people, for those of you that may have never seen the two of us before, I'm the solutionist and Lisa is the 15-minute results coach. And we work with people all the time, helping them close the gaps between their desires and their reality. And by knowing someone's strengths, which is one of the things we require anyone that works with us, we require that they take the Strength Finders assessment, because that's the assessment we use to make sure we're providing the best support. We also have made sure that we know each other's strengths, and we encourage the clients we work with that actually have employees or a team, that everyone knows everybody's strengths, even the boss's strengths. Why? Because I know Lisa's not going to compliment on a regular basis, and that may be something that I enjoy. I don't get offended when I do something and she goes, okay, that's good, because she expected me to do that. But when I get a compliment from Lisa, I know I went above and beyond, because she is not going to throw out those compliments willy-nilly, like, say, somebody like me who is all about praising, because that's in my top 5. So it's important to know who you are. And it's really important to know who you are working with, because you can get your feelings hurt when that's not that person's intention. It just may not be there. It also made me think of something else that we're going to be talking about a couple of weeks from now: love languages. Because the Strength Finders test has an assessment, love languages have an assessment. And in our lives, we have emotional and mental, physical needs that need to be met. And when you don't know what the people around you are thinking or feeling, or how they operate naturally, it can cause a lot of miscommunications. So now that we have the definition and we've talked about the importance of step 1, identifying your strengths, let's go to the step number 2, Lisa. Step number 2 is investing in your strengths. Take time to build up your skills, knowledge, and expertise in areas that align with your strength. You know, Lisa, we talk about this part all the time, because we have so many people that are not investing in their strengths. For me, I took classes on and got certified in self-publishing, public speaking classes, uh, motivation, mindset, mindfulness, yoga, Reiki. I take classes all the time because I'm an education junkie. Or is it a learning junkie? Either way, I'm addicted.
You're a lifelong learner.
Yes, there you go. I'm a lifelong learner. But as a lifelong learner, I've also have a tendency to creatively avoid things.
It's
For those
called
people who don't know this,
procrastination.
it's called procrastination. Yeah. So that's where Lisa comes in to help keep me on track. What does step 2 say to you, Lisa?
So, a lot of people say, well, I don't have the money to invest in my strengths. And my answer is, if you're going to work with me, you have the money to invest in your strengths because you're going to go take the assessment because I'm not paying for it.
That's right.
And they can get it for Audible at no cost, but they also need to invest the time in taking their assessment, reading that report. That is time that you can find because you need to invest in yourself and learn what you do well, learn what you do naturally. Mm-hmm. And then when you look at the things and you try to figure out what you want to do. So, for example, if you have input as one of your strengths, you probably are a lifelong learner like Brenda. Mm-hmm. If you have learner in your strengths, you're probably a lifelong learner like Brenda. Learner, which Brenda does have in her strengths, is somebody who finds a variety of different ways to learn things and finds what she's most comfortable with. And so investing in your strengths doesn't necessarily mean you have to put money out. It means you have to put the time into learning and investing. I have spent a lot of time learning Strength Finders because I wanted to do a pilot program with students at the university I used to work at. And so I got a chance to teach it to them. Then I did it for other students as part of a summit. And then I did it as part of team building. Mm-hmm. So investing in myself, learning who I am, actually helped me through my business because learning that I don't have relationship building in my top 5 strengths. It's in my mm-hmm. top 10, but I don't have it in my top 5, which means I don't connect well with people. Mm-hmm. That's where I use Brenda, to be perfectly honest, because Brenda's all about connecting. Brenda's all about relationship building. And so I learn a lot from Brenda. I mean, there's times where I'll say something or I don't understand this and I don't understand why this person does it this way. And Brenda, because not only all of her experience, but also because she has relationships, she really understands that aspect that I don't understand.
And it doesn't make it right or wrong that for someone is watching that you don't understand. What the Strength Finders will do for you, and for us, if you choose to have us support you, is give you a base to work from. Like with anything, you can't fix what you don't know is broken. And see, before I did Strength Finders, I didn't know I've taken many of the assessments, Myers-Briggs, to name one, and so many others. But it wasn't until I got to Strength Finders where once I found out that relationship was one of my top 5 strengths. Strength Finders didn't just say, oh, hoorah, relationships is your top 5 strength, but they told me this is how I can best use that strength. And what I also love, Strength Finders also told me how that strength can work against me. Because as a relationship person, I'm that person that would go out to sell one of my coaching packages, for example. And I'll be talking to the person and then they really can't afford it. And then I'm trying to pay for it for them. So I had to learn how to not have my own strength used against myself, because as some people say, oh, you're such a bleeding heart. That makes you broke. So if you have the Strength Finders assessment, it will tell you what to do to counter those type of things, to use them for the positive, to avoid the negatives, and to walk in your strength. And I love that about Strength Finders. Lisa, I really, when it came to that part of investing in your Strength Finder, investing in your strength, I really want to put out there that the $20, were like $19.95 or something like that. The $20 that you would spend to take the assessment is worth every penny, and it is a return on your investment that will keep giving and giving and giving back. And I think I've had somebody recently say, Brenda, why don't you pay for that? because I think it's important that people have skin in the game. We often don't value things that we don't pay for. We do a lot of stuff pro bono, but we found that we have the best results for those people that actually have to invest in themselves. The $20 is the first investment to saying, I am worth finding out what I'm good at and getting the help I need. So if you take the assessment and you decide you don't want to go any further with us, that's great. But if you want additional help to actually put that assessment in practice, then you click on my link tree. You can find me. I can direct you to Lisa as well. And we can get you the support you need to take those strengths to the next level, because it is about making sure that you can capitalize on the strengths once you got them, which leads us right into step number 3, Lisa. Maximizing your potential. Maximizing your potential is the ultimate goal of Strength Finders. By utilizing your strengths and incorporating them into every aspect of your life, you can achieve success and say the word, fulfillment. I like these little plants. See how they're growing? They are maximizing their potential. They started off as just in the dirt, and then they started breaking free. And that's what we want you guys to do. We want you to break free and maximize your potential. Lisa?
So one of the challenges with Strength Finders is that it tells you what your strengths are, but you actually have to read the paperwork that comes with it.
And there's a lot.
And it talks about the insights, and it tells you, because one thing to maximize the potential is you actually have to identify your strengths and use them. At the beginning, I talked about how Strength Finders identifies your top 5 strengths, the things you do naturally, like breathing.
Mm-hmm.
And how many times do you pay attention to your breathing? You don't. It just happens. You're just doing it. So one of the most important things that we want people to do is we want you to really understand that when you take the assessment and you learn about it, you can maximize your potential by understanding how your strength works and how it also can be looked at by other people. So, for example, I am going to use my number 1 strength, which is strategic.
Mm-hmm.
So my motivators are seeing a way when others assume there is no way. So my strategic mind is always going. However, something that irritates me is doing things the way we've always done them.
Oh yeah, I don't like that either.
Yeah, that's because that strategic is in you as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So when I look at that and I'm like, oh, you know what? That's really me. I have to realize, in order for me to grow, in order for me to be able to move forward, there are people who actually do things because they've always done them.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to acknowledge that is a lesser strength for me and understand that, so that it doesn't affect the way I work, because I can grow and I can understand how people do things. For me, I have to literally, in my job, I have to be able to have the freedom to make mid-course corrections.
Mm-hmm.
Because the one thing I know for certain is everything is not a straight line.
No, it's not.
And that can irritate people who everything is a straight line.
Mm-hmm.
And so understanding that there are certain things about me that I never thought of before because it came to so natural. It's just the way I am. I have to acknowledge that sometimes the way I am can affect other people. And being aware of that allows me to grow. And then it also allows me to really look at my other strengths and see how I can build on each of them and how I can use them very intentionally in what I do.
And I think what you just said about using them intentionally, because when I recognize my strengths, it actually helped me not to be so creatively avoidant. Because I realized that for me, I needed the change in pace. I need that direction because that's part of who I am. But by realizing that I do operate in a certain way and being clear on that, I'm able to maximize my potential. The other thing I want to say for those of you that will choose to take the Strength Finders test and also ultimately choose to work with Lisa and I is that the Strength Finders test is not a one and done. And why do I say that? Because I encourage my clients to, once they print off their printout, if they're a paper person like me, or once they have it in a computer, I asked them to refer to it weekly. I, in the beginning, referred to it daily, but then it was weekly, then it was quarterly. You have to internalize it and get it going, because what you want to do is get to a place where you are really maximizing your potential by actually working through and with and not against your strengths. What do you think about that, Lisa?
Oh, I totally agree. And one of the nice things about Strength Finders is if you work with Brenda and I, we will actually give you what we call theme comparisons. So, for example, Brenda and I both have strategic in there. But for somebody who's analytical, it's understanding how we both work. So, for someone who's strategic, we're natural evaluators of possibilities. Somebody who's analytical are natural evaluators of realities. And knowing the difference really helps you be more consciously aware. So one of the things that Brenda and I do, we add that little bit of extra because you have to be aware of not only you, but the people around you. You're not going to know everybody's strengths, but trust me when I say there are times I can pick out people's strength in less than 5 minutes just based on something that they said. Because there's 34, there's only 34, which is nice. But the reality is understanding them. But also, if you're someone like me and you're strategic and executing, I have no influencing and no relationship building in my top 5, which means I have to be more conscious about the relationship and the influencing. It's not going to come naturally to me, and it's not going to come easily by any stretch of the imagination. But being aware that there's something I'm missing really can help me, and I can build and use Strength Finders to figure out how I go ahead and fix that. Gallup, one of the things I love about Gallup is they have their YouTube channel, which has all of these videos that talk about all the different strengths. It talks about the weaknesses or lesser strengths. It also talks about how people interpret their strengths and how they make up for some of the demotivators, and how they make up for some of the contrasts that you have in other themes. And it's nice to keep learning. Once again, if we're going to go back to investing in yourself, that means you invest the time to learn more about yourself. And really, it just makes such a big difference. And the potential, once you understand, you can see things that you hadn't before. They have strength-based selling. And one of the things that I realize is I'm an introvert. And one of my challenges really is selling. I don't like to sell. I used to call myself the worst seller in the world, which is why when you watch Brenda and I, she's always selling. I'm never selling.
That's the truth.
Not natural at all. But strength-based selling really teaches me how to use my strengths so that I don't have to sell, but still throw the pitch out.
And that's important to note there. We talk about strength-based selling with our clients once they've taken that 5-step assessment, because that's something we believe that all entrepreneurs really need to have as part of their portfolio. I want to say before we go to the next question, why Strength Finders is also so important in partnerships. Lisa and I, we met and we just organically connected and stuff, but we did have a few challenges there in the beginning as we got used to each other. Strength Finders actually ironed out all those differences, because now Lisa could see why I was so, as we call it, woo-woo, and I could see why she was so straight, no chaser. And once we knew how each other operated, ever since then, we've been like a bond that nobody can break, because we work very well together. Our yin and our yang is on point. And if we have any kind of disagreements or anything, we can squash them so quickly. We've also gotten to a point where we can tell we've been around each other for a couple of years now, so we can tell. We had a project just the other day where Lisa was all in her analytical mode and I'm trying to put some emotion back in it. But see, I could tell from her mannerisms that Lisa was not feeling what I was saying. So I had to take a step back and understand I needed to allow for it to make sense for Lisa, even though intuitively I knew it was the right thing. And once I was able to talk in a manner that she could receive and relate to, we were able to get past that and move on to the next part of our process, which leads me to the final part of step 4, my favorite step, actually. Living your best life now. Y'all know I love now because that is no opportunity wasted. Embracing who you are, your natural talents, and investing in them is the key to living your best life now. Maybe it's you're an artist, or you're a bodybuilder, or you're very good at business, or you are a singer extraordinaire, or you're one of those creative types. You go to ballet and skateboard all at once. Whatever your natural talent is, step 4 brings everything into play. Because it's no good if you get all your strength finding information and you know all this stuff, but you're still not embracing who you are authentically, and you're not living your best life, failing to waste opportunities, and just not doing the things that you know that light you up. And we see many people on a daily basis that are doing things to make money, but those things don't enrich them, don't enrich other people, and is definitely not lighting them up or allowing them to live their best life now. Lisa?
Yeah. You know, I totally agree. And that, I think, is probably the most important thing you can get. Whether you take a strength finders assessment or any other type of assessment, invest in finding out who you are. Because a lot of us over the years who haven't taken the assessment don't realize how natural and how really everything we do is really very basic. It's something that everybody does, but we all do it differently. And I think that that is kind of embracing you. I've embraced the fact that I'm strategic and executing, and I have no relationship building and no influencing me. But I embrace it because I know it. I do what I love to do, and then I manage to work in the things that I need to work in order to live my best life now. I love working. I work all the time.
Yeah.
But I also, because of Brenda, you know, I have been putting in my little reading time. I mean, actually picking up a real book, not, you know, not my audiobooks, but every day I put that in my morning routine. It did kill me for a little while, but I finally got to the point where I enjoy it. And I sent her a story the other day from a book that I had. But I think that when you know who you are and you realize that you're not that weird person on the street, you know, you're not the outcast. And a lot of people think they're the outcast if they're different than the people. I mean, you know, I was the really awkward person in my family. Well, now I know I wasn't really awkward. I was just me.
Yeah.
And I can love being me. And I think that when you understand who you are, regardless of the assessment you take, invest in time in learning more about yourself, how you can use what you know in your business, in life, in your personal life. That's going to be the most important thing.
So we're going to do a quick recap. Number 1 thing you're going to do is identify your strengths. Make sure I got this right, Lisa. I wrote them down because I didn't want to miss this at the end. So let me do it the correct way. I'm going to read this one. Number 1, you're going to identify your strengths. Number 2, you're going to invest in your strengths. Number 3, you're going to maximize your potential. And then, of course, number 4, you're going to use that to embrace living your best life now. You know, if you are ready to take the Strength Finders assessment and you'd like some information once you've done that, to book a call with us, all you have to do is go to my link tree. It's right above the face. It's been here the whole time. And you can click on the thing that says Gallup Strength Finders 5-step. And it says you need it to work with me. If you take that assessment, then all you have to do is email it to me, and then we can make sure we send you a calendar link so you can book an appointment so we can talk about how you can maximize those and see if you're a good fit for working with Lisa or I. Or if you just want to find out what else are we doing, you go to my link tree. You can go there and purchase my books. You can purchase Lisa books. You can see all the things that are going on. The business highlight of the month is Faith James from the Branding Accelerator, and she has a monthly coaching program so that she can get your branding on point. It's something you don't want to miss. Let's face it, if you don't take care of understanding your strengths, who else will? I'm excited that we had this conversation today. Lisa, you have any final thoughts for our audience?
No, well, actually, yeah, I do. So it is okay to be you, but you have to know who you really are. So take the assessment and enjoy it. Learn from it, enjoy it. Just have fun. Don't take it so seriously, but take it as a tool, one of many in your toolboxes.
Thanks, Lisa. Remember, the choices you make today will be the reality you live tomorrow. So choose wisely and choose to understand your strengths. Be blessed, everyone.